we know Mahindra, it's a legacy brand, it's a household name, but the immediate association with Mahindra and Mahindra is auto. That's where your brain goes to first. And that's the overall sort of mass perception that there is. So tell me, as the chief brand custodian of the corporate brand, how has that journey been for you to sort of, in a sense, reshape that perception? Because Mahindra is a lot more than auto. So tell me a little bit about how you have reshaped that.
So firstly, you're absolutely right. I think the dominant perception comes from the automotive business. And I think it's been an exciting and interesting journey in the evolution of the brand, because our goal ultimately is to be recognized as a large Indian conglomerate with our foothold in technology with Tech Mahindra. You have Mahindra Finance, you've got Mahindra Real Estate. We're the largest tractor company in the world, #1 by volume. So there are a lot of stories that need to be told, and decisive awareness needs to be created about a larger group at play. And the reason why auto is really so prominent is because it's really a very exciting range of products. It's more customer centric, so therefore a larger footprint. A lot of consumers buy
iconic products
yeah,
as
iconic
well, right?
products,
Products
yeah.
that have shaped the category in many
Absolutely.
ways, with the Scorpio, for instance, or the Thar. So it's that
yeah,
as
as
well.
we call it,
Yeah.
authentic, true blue SUVs. So therefore, they've kind of defined perception in people's minds. But I'd just like to deviate a bit and tell you a bit when I was joining Mahindra, and
in a role that was
in a role that,
completely
yes,
new for the first time ever as a chief customer and brand officer.
yes. So one had to really think through how does one shape this role, and that's the exciting part about some of these new roles, because you're given a canvas on which you can really paint what's the agenda and you can shape the agenda. But the interesting part I wanted to tell you is that when I was joining the company, I spoke to two sets of people. So one is of course family and friends, but the other is I was just talking to my driver, who's been with me for more than a decade, and I told him I'm joining Mahindra, and his first reaction was, oh, very good. They are बहुत अच्छे लोग हैं, madam. And I was quite curious about the words अच्छे लोग, अच्छा company है, was one way that he articulated. And then I spoke to two mentors who are CEOs in large listed companies, and they used the words ethical, well-governed organization. And I felt both these sets of people did not say anything about products or services or anything about the offerings of the company, but instead they spoke about something far deeper. And I felt there is something there which I think people recognize. And I think it's important to really be able to tangibilize what they are saying and be able to tell that story. So the first thing I did was to really go back into the past, because that's something that when a lot of new people come into a role, they're like, how do I now start saying new stuff? But I think it's important to go back into the past, because where you come from can determine where you will go. So the most important artifact that I came across was this print ad, which was actually released in 1945, 2 years before Indian independence, 80 years ago, which actually spoke about no products or services. And it was Mahindra and Mohammed.
Yes.
It's an iconic piece of communication. No products or services, only values with which the company would operate. Now, those values actually form the bedrock of RISE. And, you may say that, purpose as a word was not defined then. But to me, that's the shorthand for purpose. That's the shorthand for what we call RISE today. And what we have tried to do as a team is to just make sure that whatever we put out on the corporate brand actually is closest to what was articulated there. So there were values like meritocracy, there were values like ethics, there were values like diversity and inclusion, things that are quite woke today, but they were there then.
Buzzwords today.
But equally relevant today. So we've said that, here's something. So therefore, a lot of the employees internally, and that's very important for corporate brands.
Absolutely.
And that's the difference between product and corporate brands.